Welcome to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success. Welcome to The Cap, where we are here to speak with college reps and other professionals in the field of college admissions to help answer all your questions and guide you through every step of the process. So if you're serious about college admissions, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. And now, here's your host, Dr. John Durante. Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process Podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and I am here to introduce you to college admissions representatives and other professionals in the field of college admissions. Our purpose is to serve you, the students and parents, so that you may gain insight straight from the people who ultimately make the decisions. Regardless of whether you apply to a particular school being highlighted in a given episode, you should listen to all of them, as each guest will give you tremendous insight and advice on every aspect of the college admissions process, prompting you to come up with your own follow-up questions for when you visit campus or meet with a college admissions representative yourself. Don't forget to visit our website, www.collegeadmissionstalk.com, or the show notes of each episode to access the alphabetical list of all the colleges available with the related audio link to the right of each school. The alphabetical list provides you with on-demand access to all of the episodes so that you may listen whenever you wish. And if you want to receive links to episodes before they are released on the podcast, along with other related resources, please fill out the email opt-in form also available on our website and in the show notes of each episode. Lastly, please email me with any questions or comments at collegeadmissionstalk@gmail.com. So are you ready? Let's talk about it. Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process Podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Lori Wax, who's the Director of New York Metro Recruitment for Penn State University. Lori, how are you today?
I am great, John. Thank you so much for having me. I'm quite happy to be here and excited to talk to you about Penn State.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for recording episode 9 with me, which was released back on March 3rd of 2022, where we spoke exclusively, by the way, about Penn State University. And then you returned as a panelist in episode 50 for a more general conversation about college admissions. So, Lori, since we last recorded, has anything changed in Penn State's overall admissions process?
So not really much has changed. We have gotten a little bit more comfortable and used to our test optional status, which I think we'll probably talk about a little bit more later. But that's becoming something that is definitely part of our admissions process. We're fine either way. But other than that, we continue to get record numbers of applicants, and we had a lot of students, few more than we had anticipated, accepting their offer of admission. So things are going well at Penn State.
So that's an interesting point. So what happens when, obviously, you look at your yield, right? You have a number in terms of what you think is going to be the number of students that actually accept their acceptance, for a lack of a better term. So what happens in a case like that if you get more people that want to come to your campus?
So this year, and it has happened a few times in the past, we have a program for many students not having anything to do with this. That's our 2+2 program, where students will start at one of our smaller campuses and have a guaranteed spot for the main campus for their second 2 years. Take advantage of some cost savings that come along with going to some of our smaller campuses. And there were several students that did take us up on that offer, and we're just finding places for people to live, and it's all working out.
Well, that's terrific. And Lori, I read a statistic recently that Penn State University's retention rate is an astonishing 93%. The national average is about 69%. So what is it about Penn State that makes it so appealing for so many students to want to attend? And what's the secret in terms of keeping your students so happy and wanting to return on campus?
So I think there's two parts to that. We have a lot of support for our students. So there's many different places where students can go, whether it's academic support or counseling services, or anything else that they might need. So I think providing support for students, particularly that first year transitioning into college, is very important. We have our professors all provide an hour of office hours for every hour they teach, so they are absolutely accessible. Students have residence hall advisors, students have academic advisors. So there are a lot of people there for students to reach out to and to make sure that they're transitioning into college and doing well. I think another piece is that we have a very engaged student body. 95% of our students get involved in our 1,200 different clubs and organizations. And because of that, I think our students form communities and smaller communities within our larger school community relatively soon in the process. And so, when you're part of a community or part of several different communities, depending on how many different things you're involved with, you have a stake in your experience at Penn State. And so, our students are very happy and they are supported, and that is why they stay.
Well, they're definitely supported. And again, the retention rate proves that at 93%. Penn State, of course, is a large university with many different campuses. Laura, you mentioned the 2+2 program. So University Park, of course, is the main campus. And then there are 19 satellite campuses. Lori, how do you advise students on which campus to apply to? And how does the admissions process differ between campuses?
Okay. The 2+2 program is really for students who there's a range of reasons why students participate in 2+2. And actually, 50% of our students will spend all 4 years on the same campus, whether it's University Park or one of our smaller campuses. And 50% of our students will start at one of our smaller campuses and then transition over to University Park for their second 2 years as part of 2+2. The reason students participate, for one, University Park is without doubt the most selective of our campuses. And you can look at middle 50% ranges to see what those differences are. So it's not everybody is able to start at University Park, but everybody does have a pathway to get there eventually. But that's not the only reason. Many students do want to start a little bit closer to home. We have many campuses that are closer. They're somewhere in between here in New York or other places than the main campus. And then some students do want to start at a smaller campus and kind of ease their way into that larger campus and transition slowly. The other reason is there are some cost savings that come along with starting at one of our Commonwealth campuses. So for students that want to be in the Penn State system, and again, you can start any major on any of our campuses. They're not separate. If you were to graduate from one of our campuses, your degree is Penn State. We do not differentiate Penn State, Altoona versus Penn State University Park. It is just Penn State. So some students do want to take advantage of cost savings, either all 4 years or for 2 years and then move to the main campus. As far as the admissions process or the application process with campuses, when you apply to Penn State, you put your first choice campus, and we do ask you to put an alternate choice campus. You are first evaluated for your first choice campus. So if that's University Park, we will first evaluate you for University Park. We do have an option for students to apply or be willing to be considered for our summer start, which is another session that we offer, enabling us to start more students at University Park by spreading out when they start and not making sure that everybody can get into their classes that they need to their prerequisite classes and start their general education requirements. So we do have some students that will start in the summer. And then if for any reason we're not able to offer students a summer start at University Park, we then evaluate them for their second choice campus. So it's one application. You're not applying separately. The criteria is somewhat similar for the campuses. So basically, if we are able to admit you to the main campus, we do. Otherwise, whichever campus you put as your second choice, you have a pretty good chance of being admitted there. The way that you can determine what to put as a second choice, really, the biggest differences in our campuses are size and location. So thinking about how big they range in size from 500 to 5,000 students. So some students want to be at that medium-sized college. Some students think it would be great to start at a really small school. Some students want to be closer to a city. We have some great campuses, our Abington and Brandywine campuses right outside of Philadelphia. Our Harrisburg campus is the second largest campus. And our Altoona campus is the campus that's closest to University Park. So there are a variety of reasons why a student will choose a certain campus.
Well, that's a great overview, and we appreciate it. And I do remember speaking to you perhaps in the initial episode where we talked about the 2+2 program, where students, of course, want to be closer to home. They want to start at a smaller school. And it's also a great way to start because that's where they make their friends, right? Intimate, smaller campus. And then when they go after 2 years to University Park, which is obviously a lot larger, they're going in with their group of friends. And so the transition just seems to be a lot smoother. Is that right, Lori?
That's absolutely true. And I'm really glad that you brought that up because, students are worried about what is it like to transfer after 2 years. It's not really a transfer. It's a pretty seamless
Right,
transition.
right,
And, certainly when students come to University Park, they are going to be meeting a whole host of new students. But I think throughout college, students are meeting new students as they join different clubs and organizations, as they take different classes. So you're always meeting new people at school, but it's a nice seamless transition when you come with a group of friends. Chances are, whatever campus you're on, 50% of the students that you're friendly with, or 50% of the students there, are doing that same transition. So
right.
yes, you absolutely have a community that you're going with. And many of my colleagues are Penn State graduates. Many of them did participate in the 2+2 program, and they all had incredible experiences.
Well, one thing for sure, definitely a lot of options at Penn State University. And I know that you may apply to Penn State using, of course, the Common Application or the My Penn State application. And I don't believe, as an admissions counselor, you have a preference of which students should use. So, students also have the option of applying for rolling admissions or early action. What's the difference, Lori, between the two? And what advice would you provide students and their parents in terms of whether they should apply rolling admissions or early action?
Okay, so many great questions, and very important things to think about. So, as far as applying early action, Penn State does have two options: it's early action or rolling admissions. Your best chance at Penn State of being admitted to your first choice campus is to apply early action. Every school does things differently, so I always encourage students, reach out to whatever school you're applying to. There are many schools where they defer a lot of their early action candidates. That is not how it works at Penn State. We are evaluating the applications as we get them. It does not matter if you apply in August or September or October. It's actually, all the same. As long as you apply by our November 1st early action deadline, you are considered in the first pool of applicants, and that is the early action pool. We do then offer rolling admission. So if you don't apply by November 1st, we evaluate students in a November pool and then a December pool. It does get more and more competitive the later you apply. So if you're interested in starting at one of our smaller campuses, it's less of an issue if you apply. We could be taking applications even now if we have openings at any of our campuses. University Park, however, is pretty much filled, if not by the early action deadline, certainly by the November pool. And every year I seem to get a lot of students that apply in December. They're very highly qualified students. They would have had a very good shot of admission had they applied early action, and we just don't have spots. We just ran out of spots. So, again, even for students that are, applying to some very selective schools, or even if they're applying early decision, it is really important, if you're interested in Penn State, to get that application in early action and then have your options. Our plans are not binding. So you apply to Penn State early action, you will hear by December 24th, and you don't have to let us know until May 1st, National College Decision Day. So it's a win-win situation. If by any chance you just didn't make the deadline, you didn't get it in, the earlier the better. So again, it's, each month is a new applicant pool. So that is my advice. As far as the Common App and the My Penn State application, the vast majority of our students do apply on the Common Application. Most students are applying to several schools, so it probably makes sense. And while we don't have a preference, certainly I would say 95% of the applications I read are on the Common App.
Well, that's terrific advice in terms of early action, giving a little bit more of a benefit. So students, don't forget to meet that November 1st deadline if you're serious, in fact, about attending Penn State University. So let's talk about the current freshman class, Lori. What advice would you give a student if they fall lower than the current freshman class's mid 50%? And by the way, what is the mid 50%?
So I also just want to say that I mean, these are not cutoffs or guarantees, these middle 50% ranges. The middle 50% range is basically where the current freshman class falls, the middle 50% of them. So it's the GPA range. For us, the GPA range for University Park is about a 3.6 to a 3.9. The SAT range, I think it's 1280 to a 1450. The ACT range is about a 29 to a 33. But we don't break it down by program of study. Some programs are just going to be more competitive than others. I would not be discouraged by those numbers. I mean, you do want to be realistic, but again, early action will definitely be your best option to do, considering the summer program also gives you a little bit of flexibility with that. I would recommend definitely making sure you're applying to programs because they're truly what you want and not what you think everybody else is applying to. Our business program is almost always one of our more competitive programs. And ironically, when students are not admitted sometimes to our business program and they're admitted, but not to their first choice campus, and they reach out to me, and we do give students the option of being reconsidered for another program at, the main campus if there's something that they're truly interested in. We're not encouraging students to just, study anything, but if they do have, most students don't have just one interest. But I always encourage students, go onto our website, look at all of the different programs that we offer, learn about them. We will give descriptions of who might be interested, different career paths. We even show sample schedules that you would take. And there are so many different programs, business-related programs in schools other than the business school. We have a hospitality management program. It's awesome. It's in our College of Health and Human Development. We have advertising and public relations in our College of Communications. Sometimes students applying to marketing, when they look at actually the classes they'd be taking in that versus advertising and PR, they realize that that's really more of what they were interested in. We have an agribusiness major in our College of Agriculture. We have health policy in the College of Health and Human Development. There's an enterprise technology integration major in our College of Information Science Technology, which is a combination of technology and business. So, and there's a whole host of other ones. So again, I do encourage students to look at that. Sometimes when I do speak to a student who was not admitted and I say, well, tell me, why did you apply to business in the first place? 50% of the time, they honestly don't know. It sounded like it was interesting, management. So definitely explore websites, and not just for Penn State, for any school that you're applying to.
Well, you're right. It's definitely important to do your homework. And as you know, Lori, I always put the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, obviously in this case, Penn State University, in the show notes. Should there be any other links that you want to include so that I can make them available to the students and the parents, just send them to me. And of course, they'll be there in the show notes. I was also curious, how does Penn State evaluate extracurricular activities and community service in the admissions process? And are there any specific activities or experiences that Penn State values more than others?
So that's a great question. And I do want to stress that when we talk about that early action deadline, it's important to have all the required components of the application in and complete by that deadline. And actually, the only required component of the Penn State application is a self-reported academic record. It is we don't ask for an official high school transcript until a student has been admitted and accept their offer. So we base our decisions on a student self-reporting their academic record, the classes they took years 9 through 11, the grades they received in those classes, and the classes that they're taking senior year. So that brings me to your question of activities, because again, the only required component is actually the self-reported academic record. For students who choose to submit their test scores, we will use test scores in the process, but that is optional right now. If you do indicate that you want to include test scores, we do have to have received them by the deadline in order for you to be considered early action. So because these other things are not required, I would say they are definitely important, but they come into play more times where, let's say, there are students that are clearly top grades, top scores, and that's probably not going to impact their application. There are students that really are not very strong academic students, and no matter what they're doing, unfortunately, it's not likely going to be enough to move the line. However, there is a large percentage of students that are somewhere in between, and those are the students where we're looking at all of those other pieces. And so really and truly, there's no specific activity that has more value than another. You have to be involved in things that you're passionate about. as I mentioned earlier, we have 1,200 different student clubs and organizations. We want to continue having active engagement in all of these clubs and organizations. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, absolutely, that's what you should be involved in. There is no need to just pad your resume with things and list things, activities that you did once a month or once a year. I mean, if it's something that's important to you, obviously put that in, but it's quality over quantity, hands down. I've always made a point of saying whatever you do has value. Certainly students that have jobs, that's a very important thing. That's very impressive. It shows a lot of maturity and responsibility. So definitely include things like that. And family responsibilities. There are some students that have significant family responsibilities, getting a sibling off a bus, helping with homework, being home to watch a grandparent that is not able to be on their own. I have had some students take that to another level, which I wouldn't recommend. They tell me that they've made their beds every day and they empty the dishwasher. And these are not, out of the ordinary family responsibilities. So maybe don't include those. But, the ones that truly are significant responsibilities, we'd like to see how you spend your time. We like to see, what you're doing in your free time and what you're passionate about, what you're interested in. But again, it's really quality over quantity.
This is your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome back Sean Patel, who's the founder and CEO of Prep Expert. Sean, welcome back.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. And I'm so excited to announce that Prep Expert is the official title sponsor of the College Admissions Process podcast. This has been a partnership in the works for a while now, and I'm so glad we got it off the ground. We're so excited to work with families, parents, students of the College Admissions Process podcast at Prep Expert to help them through our live online SAT and ACT courses, not only improve their SAT and ACT scores, but help them get into college as well as win hundreds of thousands of dollars in college scholarships. Thank you so much for the partnership, and we are so excited to work with your families.
Thank you, Sean. And to learn more about how Prep Expert can support your child's academic journey, visit prepexpert.com today, and best wishes to all. Well, that's great. And you're right. It is quality over quantity. Whatever you do has value. Lori said it here, and that's correct. I couldn't agree more. And don't forget, students, to include things like jobs or, like Lori mentioned, family responsibilities. Perhaps you're taking care of a younger sibling. Perhaps there's an elderly relative. Whatever it is, put it in the activity sheet. Lori, you also mentioned the self-reported academic record, which, of course, allows students to put the type of course, whether it was at the honors level or not, from 9th through 11th grade. And of course, the 12th grade courses in progress, those are also indicated. I was just curious, at what point do you get the transcript to verify that what was reported was in fact accurate?
So we usually don't get that. It depends on the part of the country that you're from, but from New York, where I am, most of these transcripts aren't coming to us until July. School graduation is usually the very end of June. And that's fine. Very, very rarely is there a situation where a student wasn't accurate on their SRAR. I have had situations where students, let's say, drop a course that they listed, and all they need to do at that point is just reach out to me during the year and say, I, tried whatever AP class and it really was not for me and I'm dropping it. Is that going to impact my application? And as long as you let us know about it, and as long as it's not a required course that you need for a specific major you're applying to, it's fine. Just make sure you let us know so it's in your record.
Well, we appreciate that insight. And I know, Lori, a couple of times you mentioned the test optional nature, and of course, Penn State is test optional. Can you share, Lori, the percentage of students that applied and who were ultimately admitted that did not submit their test scores?
So it's about the same as the number of students that apply with test scores. I would say about 50 to 60% of our students are applying without test scores, maybe like 50% range. And the same percentage of students that are admitted with test scores are admitted without test scores.
Well, we appreciate that. And of course, where do you think the test optional movement is going in the next couple of years?
So I think it was growing even before the pandemic. There were Penn State was not test optional before the pandemic, but many schools were. There was a growing list of them. And now that schools were forced into this and we have realized that we can evaluate students without test scores, I think it probably will continue for some time. I don't know. I know we're committed through 2025, I believe. And the bottom line is that we're really just looking to make sure students are successful at Penn State. So as we see that students' graduation rates and retention rates continue to be at the high levels that we are accustomed to, I don't see any reason for us to change. I don't know for sure, but I think the bottom line is that we really just want to make sure that students are equally successful. And it does not hurt you to not submit a test score, but it is really important. If a great test score certainly can help you. You have the option as a student to show your strengths. So if your test score is your strong suit, absolutely submit it. If, on the other hand, you are really not a great test taker, you've done really well in school, your grades are good, and that test score does not reflect your academic ability, you don't need to include it. It will not hurt you at all. We'll place a greater emphasis on your academic record, but it's not going to negatively impact your application.
Well, that's great advice. And recently I started getting more and more emails from students who are actually looking to transfer. So, Lori, how does Penn State evaluate transfer students? And what advice do you have for students who are considering transferring to Penn State University?
So because of our 2+2 program, Penn State only takes transfer students into University Park as juniors and for their junior year and on. But we do, the campuses absolutely will take students after 1 year if that comes up. So those are options. We are really looking at your college record at that point. So it is, what we're asking for is going to be different than what we're asking for high school students. Certainly you could submit test scores, but you don't have to submit test scores if you had them. But we're really looking at how you've done at the university level.
Well, we appreciate that. And of course, Penn State offers a variety of majors and programs. How does the admissions process differ for students applying to more competitive majors, such as engineering or even business?
So it's just we have a pretty we tend to get pretty highly qualified applicants applying to those programs. So it is really these programs are more competitive based on the number of applications we get, more so than based on actually how hard the program is. Business is always competitive. Engineering is competitive. We do have a pretty large program, which helps a little bit. Our nursing program, as with most nursing programs, very competitive simply because we have so few spots. So I encourage students to apply for what you're truly interested in and passionate about. Do know that, if you do not get your first choice of things, there are, reach out to your admissions counselor. I would say that for any school, there may not be options, but there may be. You won't know unless you reach out. So absolutely do. But I also encourage students to really keep an open mind. And again, and I will include the link for our undergraduate bulletin so that students can look at that. It is the best way for you to search different programs at Penn State and learn all about them. As I said, career paths and who might be interested. There are so many things that you are not yet exposed to as a high school student. Again, 275 programs at Penn State. The likelihood is that maybe you've been exposed to 20 different areas of interest or 25 at high school. There's so many things out there. So take the time to learn about them and go on websites. You might be surprised at something that you hadn't really considered that you're now really interested in. And, as corporations change and technology changes, the jobs that are out there now did not exist when I graduated from college. And chances are there are going to be jobs that don't exist now. So definitely keep an open mind.
Absolutely. And I was also curious, Lori, what are some of the things that students do to demonstrate their interest in Penn State University? And is this something that you track as part of your overall admissions process?
So I love that question. It's a little bit complicated because technically we don't use demonstrated interest in our admissions decisions. However, we are certainly able to track. We know when students open their emails. We know when they click on links. We know when they've come. If I'm at your high school for a visit, I know that students have come. I know if they've stopped by at a college fair. And while we don't technically track interest, it can never hurt to show your interest. I mean, we are only human. And again, if we're in a situation where we have more applicants than spots, all other things being equal, the person that has expressed that they really want to be at Penn State certainly is going to, it will not hurt them. And, while it might not move the dial, it certainly could be the one thing that pushes you over.
Understood. And what advice would you have for students who may not be sure if Penn State is the right fit for them, or who may be struggling to find the right college overall for themselves?
So, I mean, my best advice, if possible, is to try to visit, because I think oftentimes students have an idea of what they want. And when they go to a campus that supposedly has that, they find that that was not exactly what they're looking for. So I think it's important to visit. And if you can't visit the specific school that if you can't get to Penn State, but you can get to another big school, or even to go to a small school, something kind of the opposite of Penn State, and see how you feel there. I think again, visiting is important. I also think there are factors that you can consider to decide where to apply. And there are factors that are totally subjective. They're really just up to you. I would not worry about where your friends are applying or what you've heard of, because those might not be the right schools for you. You want to find the right school for you. So think about, how far are you willing to go from home? Are you willing to get on a plane to go to school? Do you want to be within a certain driving radius? Is it 4 hours? Is it 2 hours? Is it 6 hours? So are you a person that really thrives being in a big city, or are you a person that really likes a suburban campus, maybe near a city, or do you love to be out, in a rural setting? So again, those are things that there aren't right or wrong. They're really what's up to you. Certainly programs of study are important. If there's something specifically that you want to study, you want to make sure that the schools you're applying to have that program. But if you have no idea what you want to study, it's also good to go to a school that offers a lot of different things, so that you have lots of different things to choose from. Is sports a factor in your college experience? Is Greek life something that you're looking for? What type of a social life do students have on campus? I mean, these are all things that are very personal. It's best to learn about them by visiting or talking to people that go there. Spending time on a website will give you a lot of information. Even if you can't get to a campus, we still have some virtual programs. And in those virtual programs, there are usually students that participate, current students that can answer questions that come in through a Q&A, and you can get a sense of, their experiences. So that would be, my best advice, to try to figure out, narrow down the things that are most important to you, that have nothing to do with the school whatsoever, and then find schools that meet that criteria.
So much to consider throughout the college search. I appreciate you spelling out so many of them. And it's important, students and parents, to remember that there are many schools for each and every student, but not every school is the right fit for each and every person. So it's important not to look at necessarily where your friend is going, where a relative went, but like Lori said, do the visit, get a feel for it. Do you want to be close? Do you want to be far? Do you want big, small, medium, rural, urban, anything in between? So those are great pieces of advice. We appreciate that, Lori. Thanks again. And what about students that may have had an IEP while in high school? What programs or resources does Penn State University have in place to ensure that the students continue to be successful once they're on your campus?
So we do have an Office for Educational Equity that helps students. It's not a specific program, but depending on what a student's specific needs are, the office will work with students to make sure they're getting the support they need to be successful at Penn State. And that is not something that you have to wait until you get to school to learn about. You can reach out to the office. And I would say the same for most schools. You can find out whatever the offices frequently have different names, but you can find out what the office is, call them directly, have a conversation. I know at Penn State, our Office of Educational Equity is happy to speak to prospective students and answer any questions they have.
Well, that's great. And again, Lori, if you want to provide the link to the Office for Educational Equity, we'll put it in the show notes for the students and parents. Lori, this has been another great conversation. You truly are awesome. But before I get to my last question, is there a question you wish that I had asked that I didn't, or a topic that you wish I brought up that I didn't? And so this is your opportunity to bring up any of those things if you wish.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate the opportunity. And I think you asked such really great questions, and questions that I do get a lot. So it's great to be able to answer them. The one thing I would, I guess, say that I want to make about Penn State and about college in general is that while it is a 4-year education, Um, it's a lifetime of connections and something that it's never taken away from you. Your education, the people you meet, and the thing that I am so proud of at Penn State that I think truly sets Penn State apart from many other universities. And I mean, there are many things that set Penn State apart. I mean, we are a very unique combination of top caliber academics and lots of enriching activities and a truly unrivaled school spirit. But I think the thing that truly sets us apart is our alumni network. We have the largest alumni network in the world. We have over 700,000 active alumni. They are passionate and engaged with Penn State, from the time they graduated, and they continue to be. What that does for you as a Penn State graduate is provide you with pretty much a lifelong social network. We have Penn State alumni chapters in cities throughout the world, as well as a lifelong professional network, whether it's through LinkedIn or specific industries. There are Penn State networks. Penn Staters always try to hire other Penn Staters. They come back to campus to interview Penn Staters when they're in a position of hiring. And I will say many are in that position. We are number 2 in graduating CEOs, according to LinkedIn. Wow. So another thing that I'm very proud of. One fun fact is that 1 in every 106 Americans with a college degree is a Penn State graduate. So you are an excellent and large company.
Well, that's awesome. A lifetime of connections, the Alumni Association with over 700,000 active members. I will tell a quick story. A former student of mine, who, by the way, Lori, is now my dentist, he played soccer at Penn State a very long time ago. And he shared with me, he said, look, a school like Penn State, it's very common for me to go back with my own children every year to bring them to a football game, to bring them to the campus. So the camaraderie, the love, the feel, you're absolutely right. It is a lifetime of connections. Lori, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I can't thank you enough. Unfortunately, it does lead me to my last question, which is, what are your top 3 pieces of advice that you would share with a student and their parents getting ready for the college admissions process?
Thank you for that question. And I say that not only with my admissions hat on, but also with my parent hat on. I've been through this process with my own 3 kids not that long ago. One piece of advice is very simple, is I would absolutely start a spreadsheet and keep track of the schools that you are applying to, different deadlines, different requirements, because it can be a little bit overwhelming. And if you have it all right there, you won't miss any deadlines. You'll know what you need, because there are different things that are required for different schools. We talked about the Penn State requirements. We don't require recommendations. We allow up to 4, except for our honors college does ask for recommendations. But in any case, every school is different. So keep track by keeping a spreadsheet. Definitely keep an open mind. Try to visit as much as you can. Try to have fun with this process. Enjoy those college road trips. They are really a great time for a lot of bonding with your family, self-reflection, deciding what it is that you like and what you don't like. And, again, there are probably many schools out there for every student where they can be super successful and thrive. Unfortunately, you can only go to one. So, but it all works out. So try to just relax and enjoy the process.
Well, those are great pieces of advice. Stay organized, use a spreadsheet for your deadlines, requirements, and of course, keep an open mind. Have fun visiting and enjoy the college road trips. I definitely did with my own daughters. And of course, easier said than done, but relax throughout the whole process, right?
One other piece of
please.
advice is to absolutely reach out to the admissions counselors that are responsible for your area, because we are happy to hear from you. We are generally friendly people. We care about our students. And so if you do have a question, absolutely reach out.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people are hesitant to reach out. They think it's, a negative piece on their application if they do. So that's great that you share the fact that you absolutely want them to reach out. You are there to serve and to help. And Lori, today, as always, you were just phenomenal. I'm so happy, as I know that this conversation is going to help so many students and their parents as they navigate through the college admissions process. I do hope to have you again, Lori. I know that you've been on now 3 times. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, John. I look forward to the next time. An honor to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. Take care. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the CAP, the College Admissions Process Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to tell a friend and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am your host, John Durante, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the CAP. Hey, podcast friends, if you've been enjoying the College Admissions Process Podcast, I'm excited to share my new book, Straight from the Admissions Office, Insider Strategies for College Applications. It's packed with insights and tips from over 250 podcast episodes with admissions professionals designed to make the college process less overwhelming. Whether you're a student, parent, or college counselor, it's a valuable resource for navigating the admissions process. By grabbing a copy, you're also helping to support the podcast. The links are in the show notes. Thank you, and best wishes to all with the college admissions process.